This week I'm driving the 2022 Infiniti Qx60 Sensory. For 2022, we've got a brand new generation of the Qx60. This Qx60 is based on the new generation of the Nissan Pathfinder. So today I'm going to go a little bit deeper, see if there's a big gap between the Nissan and the Infiniti products. This mid-size SUV is really important for the Infiniti brand. This is their best seller. So we'll see what this brand new SUV's got. Under the hood of the Qx60, we can find a V6 3.5 liter, good for 295 horsepower and 270 foot-pounds of torque. This engine is matched to a 9-speed transmission, so no more CVTs for this SUV. This is a big improvement. A lot of complaints about this CVT product, especially for luxury products like Infiniti. So a little bit more horsepower and torque for the Infiniti powertrain compared to the Nissan Pathfinder. I'm gonna go on the road, see if this bump in horsepower makes a difference. All right, I'm gonna test the performance of this Qx60. We've got more horsepower and more torque under the hood than the Nissan Pathfinder. We'll see if it makes the difference 0 to 100 kilometers. Great traction from the all-wheel drives, especially in winter condition like right now. All right, at the top end, we can feel there's a little bit more power, but not a big difference, versus Nissan Pathfinder. You can do the 0 to 100 kilometers in about 7.4 seconds. Not really quick if we compare it with other models in the same segment, but it's quicker than the older model. The older model was doing the 0 to 100 kilometers in about 7.9 seconds, 8 seconds. So it's an improvement. This is probably due a little bit more power, better transmission, and also, the luxury feel behind the wheel of a real transmission. It's way better than the CVT. When you're behind the wheel of a luxury Infiniti model and your engine is screaming with that CVT, so I don't like that. It removed some of the luxury feel, luxury refinement, and using a 9-speed transmission for this new generation of Qx60, it's a big improvement. On the road with the Qx60, behind the wheel, it's a comfortable ride. Obviously it's not as sharp as any German products handling wise, but we can see inside of this Qx60, the priority is really the comfort and some, mild off-roading. The ride is comfortable, really good for a road trip or use on a daily basis. If you're expecting a sharper kind of like driving dynamics, because it's an Infiniti product, it's pretty much the same ride as the Nissan Pathfinder. From my point of view, we got a little bit better seat inside of this Infiniti, but ride-wise, we can see the comfort is number one. Similar a little bit like the Buick Enclave or the Cadillac XT6. If we take a look at the design, aggressive line in the front, aggressive headlights and all that, overall the look of this Qx60 seems a little bit more compact with that design compared to the more boxy look of the Pathfinder. In the back, we've got those funky kind of fake exhaust tips. For the Infiniti product, it will be nice to have some real exhaust tips to make it, more high-end, more luxurious, more sporty. That's my point of view. Wheel-wise, that's a big disappointment from my point of view. They look pretty similar to the one we can find on the Pathfinder platinum. They're really kind of like the same pattern and all that. From my point of view, when a manufacturers, you know, share the same model, same platform, you know, like this Nissan Pathfinder and the Qx60 for Infiniti, they should make a big difference between those two models. When we find basically the same wheels and the same stuff, you know, from my point of view, it's a big mistake. You know, the customer for the Infiniti will pay more. Now we're finding almost the same parts. They could have done some special wheels for this Infiniti. Stepping inside of this Qx60, we've got some nice material, nice design, a lot of stitching, a lot of like a dark wood and all that, a lot of piano black also. Everything is easy to find, easy to use. We've got a nice place to recharge our phone wirelessly. We've got a nice screen, big one, easy to use, really clear. We've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Once we plugged in our phone on the Apple CarPlay, it's super crisp, super easy to use. This is a good system, pretty much the same system as the one you can find in a Nissan Pathfinder, Nissan Rogue and all that. You know, I drove the Qx55 lately on the channel, and it's a brand new model for 2022, and it had that funky old system, and it makes sense for my point of view. And you know, just a side note, why they didn't use that system in the Qx55, it's a big mistake and it makes no sense. This one, sharp, you know, big screen, easy to use. Underneath we've got the climate control. Once again, it's clear and easy to use. There's no real button for most of those controls, but when you press on it, it feels like a little click. It feels like a button, I could say, and it works even if it's cold, if you have gloves and all that. So I think it looks really slick and it works well. I really like that. In front of me, I've got some digital cluster. Once again, easy to use, really clear, nothing to complain here. If we step in the back, this model this week, it's a 7-passenger model with the second row full seat. You can also opt for the 6-passenger with the captain seats in the second row. In the second row, it's pretty comfortable, plenty of space for this type of SUV. The last row, I'm not able to fit there. My wife is able to fit in that last row. It's pretty tight, you know, it's made for, you know, small adult and children, especially in that last row. Sometimes with the competition, those seats are really, you know, in case of, you know, emergency, if you want to carry extra people or really small children. It's not the case inside of this Qx60. It's pretty decent. Cargo wise, it's pretty similar to the competition. The space is pretty limited behind that last row, but that's one of the sacrifices you have to make if you want to have a little bit more space in that last row. Once you put down all the seats, it's a little bit more spacious than the majority of the competition, and the floor is completely flat. Underneath the carpet also, you've got a small cargo management. You can put extra stuff there. Really practical on that side. If we're looking at the towing capacity, you can tow up to 6,000 pounds. This is due also to that new transmission, and from my point of view, it's way better to tow with a real transmission than a CVT transmission. Big improvement for this model of the year, but the 2 base model can only tow 3,500 pounds. So if you're looking to tow up north of 5,000 pounds, you should consider the higher trim level of the Qx60. Obviously, like any luxury SUV, you've got different modes you can switch from. You've got normal, personalized, sport, eco, snow, so typical stuff here. But the all-wheel drive on this Qx60, it's pretty good. It's not a basic all-wheel drive system, I could say. It's not only a front-wheel drive is going to put some power in the back. This system can do a 50-50 split of the power, so that's a big plus. And we can see that 50-50 you know, traction when you really push it in slippery condition like today, or while doing some off-road. I did some off-roading with the Nissan Pathfinder. Basically almost the same, you know, SUV, same system and all that. It works really well. It was pretty good off-road wise. And the suspension, this is where you see a great mix of comfort and also off-road capacity. Yes, maybe you have to make a sacrifice on the handling, but I think it's a great mix of on-road comfort and off-road capacity for this Qx60. Fuel economy wise, the question this week is this, you know, this 9-speed transmission is gonna affect the fuel economy versus the CVT transmission. I've been averaging 10 liters per 100 kilometers, you know, both highway and city combined. Pretty good for this size of SUV. And from my point of view, there's no sacrifice on the fuel economy. This new 9-speed transmission works pretty well. It's better for towing capacities, it's better for performance, just driving dynamics and all that, and no real sacrifice on the fuel economy. So it might be the CVT a myth about the fuel economy, especially for big SUVs. I think CVT's transmission might work in, you know, low entry, small cars, but in a big SUV, you want to tow, you do some off-road and all that, you need a real transmission. Price-wise, the Qx60 starts around $54,995 Canadian, and the model I'm driving this week is good for $67,995 Canadian. Obviously, you know, it's not the top of the line. The model I'm driving this week, it's a Sensory. It's not even the autograph model. Close to $70,000. You know, you've got plenty of choice in that segment, and it's a really competitive segment. You know, you have to find what you really want for your SUV. Is it, you know, interior space, comfort, driving dynamics and all that? I think you have plenty of choice in that segment. If for you the driving dynamics it's a priority, you might choose the BMW, Mercedes-Benz products and all that. There's other model with more off-road capacities, probably more like a G Grand Cherokee L and all that. So you've got a lot of choice, but I think the Qx60's got kind of like a blend of everything. It's not good, you know, in something specific, but it does everything. It's got good fuel economy, okay performance, good comfort. It can do some off-roading and all that. So that's kind of the model is gonna be overall good in everything and not just good in one thing. And that's something you have to remember about this Qx60. Overall, you know, the Qx60, it's a pretty good SUV, can do a lot of things. But the real question is it worth it to, you know, consider the Qx60 versus the Nissan Pathfinder? From my point of view, there's a price difference about $10,000 Canadian here in Canada. You know, my point of view, the logo, the looks of the Infiniti, yeah, it looks more aggressive, it looks more luxurious. But for me, the brand Infiniti have been declining in the past few years, and I don't need that look to impress, you know, my neighbors. The Nissan Pathfinder does the job, especially if you take the models fully equipped, the platinum one, like the one I drove this past summer. It's basically the same truck. The powertrain, there's no big difference between the Nissan and Infiniti. It's probably just a tune for this Infiniti. This Infiniti should definitely have a more powerful powertrain, something special, maybe a V6 twin turbo, maybe a more aggressive suspension for the handling, something Infiniti, something different. I think the gap between a Pathfinder and a Qx60 is way too close to make the difference and worth that extra $10,000. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Qx60? Is it worth it to invest $10,000 more than the Nissan Pathfinder? I would like to see your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and we're gonna see each other on the next review.